Vincent Goodwill, Yahoo Sports NBA writer and host of the Good Word podcast on Yahoo Sports Ball Don't Lie channel, joining us on the program. You heard those stories about Prince, right?
I actually had dinner with someone last week in LA who talked about having a pickup game with Prince at the University of Minnesota in the late 70s with the that Kevin McHale team. And the coach told Prince to get off the floor because he was like, "You're just a random guy here." But Prince was playing so well that the players were like, "Man, just come back." So, yeah. And the Prince Stevie Wonder argument is closer to me than the Michael LeBron argument. It depends on the day.
Wow. So you're saying Stevie Wonder?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably. Yeah.
All right.
Probably.
I'll respect that. You're wrong, but I'll respect that. Uh,
I'll
Prince
take
Prince was a hit machine, man. He was. And Stevie, what is it? Songs in the Key of Life?
Look, Songs in the Key of Life, Inner Visions, Talking Book. He had a run in the 70s,
Yeah,
Dan,
he did.
that I'm not sure any artist ever has done. So that's the Stevie argument.
Okay. Do the Knicks fans celebrate too much?
Dan, when you haven't won anything, then you deserve to celebrate. Like the last time the Knicks made the conference finals in the East was in 2000. I was a sophomore in high school, man. So I get it. I totally understand. Every other team has made it to the conference finals. So most teams have made it to the conference final six since then. The Knicks haven't. So, I appreciate their energy. I really do. They're a fun bunch to be around.
Okay, so you can't say act like you've been there because they haven't been there in such a long time. But your fan base, I mean, you just beat the Pistons and you're celebrating like you won a championship. When they beat the Hawks a couple of years ago, they celebrated like they'd won a championship here. I like the enthusiasm, but they kind of treat the Knicks like they're, the young upstart team, like they were the Pistons, like, hey, look at this little spunky group here.
Well, I mean, they've won 50 games, right? Like this should be expected of the Knicks.
Yeah.
The Knicks are the team that was prohibitively the favorite in this, and you won 3 games on the road by the skin of your chinny chin chin. It took the refs to help you one game. It took, Asar Thompson, who had Jalen Brunson in jail in the fourth quarter. Like, Dan, you've ever been on punishment before where you can't go outside and you look outside and the weather is just good and your friends are running around and you can't go anywhere because you did something stupid? That's what Jalen Brunson was until that last play, a phenomenal play. And now the Knicks have reality facing them because the Boston Celtics are going to send them home in unremarkable fashion. If it goes 6 games, I will be happy for the Knicks.
This is one of my pet peeves, and I apologize to my audience because they know that I say this all the time. I can't let the best guy on the floor beat me. He was just named the most clutch player in the NBA. They actually have an award that they gave to him. Thompson had done a wonderful job on him, but I go back to when I watched Michael Jordan push off Brian Russell, and there's no help coming against Mike. So the greatest player in the history of the game, and you're going to have one guy try to guard him, and here's Jalen Brunson. Where is the help to get the ball out of his hands? Cat's not on the floor. Hadn't he fouled out? So maybe you're going to force somebody who's not used to taking that shot. I find it inexcusable that you can't get the ball out of the hands of the one guy who can beat you.
I think coaches like to keep things simple because when you get into scramble situations, someone cuts and gets open. Earlier in that fourth quarter, Mikal Bridges wound up getting the tip in because the floor was unbalanced. A lot of times you're going to say, Asar Thompson, you want to be one of the best defenders in the game. If we are to elevate ourselves as a franchise, as the Detroit Pistons, you have to be the guy in these situations. What greater test is it right now than to stop the most clutch player in the NBA this season? Like if you're the Pistons, you're playing with house money at that point, Dan. This isn't the NBA Finals in 1998 where you got John Stockton and Karl Malone's legacy on the line. You can afford in that spot in this series to find out what you have. If this went to a game 7, Dan, the Pistons would have been wiped out. Like emotionally, I think that series would have taken so much out of them because they weren't expecting to play this long given where they were last year. So you saw what you had in Asar Thompson in that moment. He's going to learn from it. And hopefully for the Pistons' sake and for Thompson, he will come back better for it next season.
Who's more threatening going forward, the Clippers or the Nuggets?
Ooh, I mean, look, I think the Clippers are better constructed, right? I think the Clippers to some degree are a better matchup for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But have you noticed what Nikola Jokic is? He's still the best player on earth right now. And anytime you have a guy who can tilt the axis of a game just by his mere presence, because you have to double him, you can't let Isaiah Hartenstein or Chet Holmgren or anybody else guard him one-on-one, assuming they get to the next round and have game 7 on their home floor tomorrow. Like, that's where the balance comes. The question comes to me, Dan, do you trust James Harden in a critical situation, in a critical game? He showed up last night, but that's been more or less the anomaly in the long term. Like, he's had some great games and he's had some stinkers, and the stinkers stand out a lot more than the great games. They're just louder. But Dan, have you noticed the players who have the stinkers, the players who have the loud, bad games suddenly have come to the forefront and had some great ones, like Julius Randle with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Talking to Vincent Goodwill, Yahoo Sports NBA writer. He was there last night with the Pistons and the Knicks. You also witnessed the Lakers get eliminated by the Timberwolves. Let me bring back what J.J. Redick said yesterday in his exit interview. This is how he starts out, and I want to know how you think this resonated with Luca.
I'll start with the offseason and the work that's required in an offseason to be in championship shape. And, you know, we have a ways to go as a roster. And certainly there are individuals that were in phenomenal shape. There's certainly other ones that could have been in better shape. That's where my mind goes immediately is you know, we have to get in championship shape.
He's on the cusp of saying, Luca, I'm talking about you. How do you think Luca is taking this?
I mean, when you get traded and the underlying tenor of that was, we think you're fat and out of shape and you don't play defense and we don't think your career is going to last very long as it should, that should be a wake-up call in itself. I'm a bit surprised that Luca didn't get himself in better shape in LA once he was traded, having that sort of wake-up call, that sort of public embarrassment. Like, say what you want about being traded to the Lakers and you're the next guy and everything else. Dallas rejected him, or Nico Harrison rejected him in such a way that was public and in such a way that usually challenges a player. And then JJ Redick goes out there and challenges him. Like that, Dan, he was fooled in that series against the Lakers. He was blown by every single time, and he just looked so gassed and out of it. And by the time game 5 came around, you could tell he was going to be productive, but he can be productive with his eyes closed. Like, Dan, go look at what Luca looked like as a rookie when he was a teenager. You're like, man, he looked like an Adonis compared to the guy that we see now. So I suspect he will come back in better shape because, you know, he wasn't talking about LeBron James. Like, we know who he was talking about there. So, yeah, Luca got challenged publicly in a way that he has to respond now.
Doesn't this back up what Nico Harrison was saying in Dallas?
Yeah, it does. Does it validate the trade? Does it validate what you got in return for the trade? Does it validate that you did not scan the league to get the best return possible for the trade? I don't think anybody, I won't say there's not too many people. There's a lot of people who were like, you know what, Nico Harrison's out of his damn mind, right? But there were some people who are willing to say, you know what, I understand what Nico was doing. I just wouldn't have gone about it the way that Nico did it. And now, the greatest thing for me is this. Nico Harrison essentially called Luca Donic a loser, pretty much. He says, I've been around world-class athletes who are winners and champions, and you don't fit the bill of that. If there is not a greater indictment, whether he's wrong or right, but for someone to basically and tacitly say that about you and then repeatedly say that about you in the aftermath and say, I'm not even afraid to trade you to the Lakers, I think that's how much of a loser you are. You'd better have a fire lit under your ass.
Yeah, and now I understand why you can trade him. You don't want to invest that kind of money. You must get a better haul in return. That would be the only thing that I would argue with this, the pushback on this. But let's say Christie and AD were still on the team and you didn't make this trade. Were they better equipped to beat Minnesota and actually make a longer run in the postseason than with Luca?
Yeah, it's one of those things like the butterfly effect, right? Like if you put that team against this Minnesota team, yeah, you got somebody that can handle Rudy Gobert, but you're not getting to the third seed without Luca Doncic being able to carry the regular season load in a way that LeBron James probably can't at 40 years old in the way that you structure your roster. This was a better playoff roster with Anthony Davis. It was a better regular season roster for Luca Doncic. Like, make no mistake about it, all the things that we've said, he's still a top 3 player in the game. Let's not get it twisted. There's just more space for him to grow in the meantime.
Okay, wait a minute. You say he's top 3. So
yes.
Luca's best, or Joker's best.
Yeah, yes.
Correct? SGA.
Mm-hmm.
Giannis, you're going to put Luca over Giannis?
I think Giannis has won a grand total of 1 playoff series since 2021. At some point, you got to start. You have to start saying, "What have you done for me lately, Janet Jackson?" You got to start saying that. And I would take Giannis over Luca because he stays in shape and because he's a great player on both ends of the floor. But I wouldn't quibble with anybody who says that Luca's 3.
Would you take Anthony Edwards over Luca?
Now we're getting somewhere, Dan. Now we're getting a little spicy here. You know, Ant-Man, Superman, Batman, Lakers in 5. Like, don't you love that? Don't you love the fact that Ant is so outside? He pays attention to what everybody says. But on the floor, Dan, there's a pride there that Ant looked at the Lakers and he said, I'm going to put these dudes out. And not only am I going to put these dudes out, I'm locking up LeBron. I'm locking up Luca, like taking the personal challenge of all this on both ends of the floor, realizing that both ends of the floor are important and leading. Like, think about this. He's gotten the most out of Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, and Julius Randle. That's a motley crew of dudes that, as an NBA public, we don't believe in.
I like that the Lakers made Rudy Gobert look like Wilt Chamberlain.
And they made Julius Randle look like Charles Barkley circa 1989. Like, are we kidding here? Like, the Lakers just didn't have anything for Rudy Gobert. And when Rudy's the punching bag and Julius is the punching bag, it's good to see the rabbit have the gun sometimes. And I'm really, really fascinated by this next series. I'll be covering the next series, whether it's Minnesota and Houston or Minnesota and the Golden State Warriors. And if Anthony Edwards, Dan, puts out in consecutive years, Kevin Durant, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and then maybe Steph Curry, we're talking about an Isaiah Thomas run, a Hakeem Olajuwon run of putting out dudes with my bare hands. Can't wait to see it.
Golden State in an okay situation here? How do you feel about them?
They better win tonight. Are you kidding me? They better win tonight, Dan. You got a game 6 on your home floor. Anything can happen in a game 7. And when you're playing against a young and dumb team, and I say that affectionately, I just watched a young and dumb team in Detroit last night. You don't want to give them any confidence to believe that they can actually win this series. Like, we know Houston is 1 player away. Whoever that player is, we don't know. We will see. But they're a player away. Golden State is built to win right now. Draymond Green is where he is. Jimmy Butler, they acquired him for this. This is why you have the guys that you have. Not just so you can get out of the first round, so that you can make a legit run to the NBA Finals. If they lose a 3-1 lead, Dan, can you imagine the jokes to Ime Udoka and the Houston Rockets? My goodness.
What happens to Jimmy Butler if they bow out here?
I mean, he's going to still have a lot of money in a couple of more years to figure this out with Golden State. Yeah. I think it's a bad look for everybody. But as we saw with Jimmy Butler in Game 4 with that bad injury, he's capable of carrying them in ways that lifts a team, not dissimilar to what Stephen Curry does. They just do it in a different way. I would not be surprised if the Warriors treat this like a Game 7 tonight, because they have to treat it like a Game 7 tonight. If for no other reason, Dan, they need the rest. They need a couple of more days before going on to the next series. You don't want to be wearing the Houston Rockets scent on you while you're playing Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves in the next round. You don't want those problems.
Always great to talk to you. Safe travels. Thanks again for joining us.
Always good, Dan.
That's Vincent Goodwill, Yahoo Sports NBA writer and host of Good Word podcast on Yahoo Sports. He'll be covering the next series, I believe, with the Timberwolves. We'll take a break. When we come back, who had the best week in sports? And we have some prop bets that we want to run by you. That'll be coming up next here. Dan Patrick Show.